In the year 1755, Empress Maria Theresa of the Habsburg Empire and Francis I of the Holy Roman Empire have a child in Hofburg Palace, Vienna. They name their daughter Maria Antonia. Her exact day of birth falls upon All Souls' Day, which happens to be a time of mourning the dead for Catholics. Thus, Maria's family celebrates her birth one day prior, on All Saints' Day. She's raised alongside her older sister, Maria Carolina, spending her youth living in both Hofburg Palace and their summer home in Vienna. At the age of 7, Maria Antonia, in her summer residence, meets the musical child prodigy, Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart. He performs for the court and takes a liking to Maria. Legends say he even proposes to her, earning a kiss in return. Perhaps because of this encounter, Maria struggles in academics, despite being privately tutored, and instead flourishes as a musician, learning to play the harp, flute, and harpsichord. Above all, she is recognized for her beautiful singing voice and talent for dancing. She is an idol to the masses, soothing them with smiles. Maria finds joy in this adoration, eagerly conducting herself as those expect of her. While Maria's childhood is peaceful, her country is still involved in the 7 Years' War between Europe's greatest powers. Her mother, Maria Theresa, arranges to bring peace between the Habsburg Empire and France, led by King Louis XV. In commemoration of this alliance, a political marriage is established between Maria Antonia and France's heir, the Dauphin Louis Auguste. Thus, in the year 1770, she renounces her rights to Habsburg, marrying Louis Auguste by proxy, and taking on her French name, Marie Antoinette, as the Dauphine. She does not actually meet her husband until the following month, when they hold another ceremony at the Palace of Versailles. While the two are wed, they do not consummate their marriage until the passing of 7 years, plaguing their public reputation. While she is considered beautiful and amicable, those who oppose the Austrian alliance struggle to accept her. This includes Louis XV's mistress, Madame du Barry, who conspires against her. After a series of political conflicts, Marie and du Barry are able to set aside their differences. In the year 1774, Louis XV perishes, allowing Marie and her husband to step up as the new king and queen of France. Her husband, Louis XVI, begins his reign by exiling du Barry, never to return to Versailles. While this is done for Marie's sake, the new queen is politically restrained by her husband and his ministers, denying her official candidates. Instead, she is gifted an estate, Petit Trianon, which she is free to renovate. Marie, despite her appeal and charm, has a fatal flaw when it comes to spending. She relishes in fine fashion, luxuries, and gambling, while her people face poverty. Thus, citizens start to believe that Marie has adorned her estate's walls with diamonds and gold. In only a single year after ascending the throne, Marie harms her reputation with the public, receiving blame for France's economic decline. This, along with postponing intimacy with the king, renders Marie and her husband a laughingstock in the eyes of other nobles. However, 8 months after their first consummation, Marie is pregnant with a daughter they name Marie-Thérèse Charlotte. While pregnant, she pleads to her husband to intervene in a political conflict regarding Austria's growing territory. Essentially, she convinces Louis XVI to introduce a treaty granting Austria much more territory than previously negotiated. Thus, her people begin to feel she is siding with Austria against France. Her reformation of court customs also draws ire from older generations. In the face of controversy, Marie nonetheless gains more political influence, with her candidates in office implementing policies of their own. Her appointed Minister of War reforms the military such that commoners can no longer be appointed as officers. Marie becomes pregnant on 3 more occasions, the first resulting in a miscarriage. The other, more fortunate, gives birth to Louis-Joseph Xavier François, France's new heir. The third, sadly, also ends in miscarriage. When Marie's mother dies, she worries about the future of France's alliance with Austria. Her brother Joseph II reassures her the alliance will remain strong. However, more rumors spread that Marie has been sending money to him, sourced from the French treasury. Her lavish spending and governmental agenda continue to garner more robust rumors, accusing her of affairs and national infidelity. Included in this is the construction of her expensive retreat, which she fills with a library of 5,000 books. Not only is the cost seen as outrageous, but the mere idea of a queen owning her own private residence causes controversy. Given her luxuries, it is no surprise that Marie plays a major role in supporting the arts, with her influence protecting the stage play, The Marriage of Figaro, when ridiculed for its negative portrayal of nobles. One of her retainers, Chevalier Deon, serves her in diplomatic pursuits, engaging in secret missions. Though androgynous, Marie recognizes Deon as female, giving her a lavish dress as a symbol of their mutual friendship that transcends being master and servant. The two are quite open with each other, with Deon commenting how all the food Marie eats goes straight to her breasts, granting her one of the finest bodies in France. In the year 1785, Marie gives birth to Louis Charlot, later to be known as the Duke of Normandy, though plenty speculate the child is born from an affair and not between the king and queen. Beyond this, Marie has a fourth and final child, who, tragically, dies as an infant. Along with caring for her children, Marie strives to reinvigorate her reputation by actively investigating a scandal known as the Diamond Necklace Affair, in which she is falsely accused of deceiving jewelers of the value of a specific necklace. Through this, she is able to properly convict her conspirators. This progress is lost, however, when France's growing debt reaches an all-time high. Attempting to remedy the situation, the king holds an assembly to initiate financial reform. The fact that Marie does not attend this meeting causes others to believe she is actively undermining its purpose. Thus, the assembly's failure is blamed on her. Worse, she becomes the symbol of France's depression, labeled Madame Deficit. While she is not solely to blame for the deficit, it is true that her court expenses are far higher than any to come before. In 1789, Marie's eldest son, Dauphin of France, dies from tuberculosis at a key moment when France's people begin to form a rebellion. The king refuses to humor their demands, while Marie mourns her son's death. Instead, Marie expresses a desire to crush the rebellion rather than give in to it. This decision plays against her when, on the 14th of July, Paris is encumbered by riots, known collectively as the storming of Bastille. With the odds of her assassination high, she remains by her husband's side as his power wanes. The victorious National Constituent Assembly begins reforming France into a constitutional monarchy by abolishing feudalism. The royal family is kept under house arrest. While Marie spends her time dedicated to her children, she manages to maintain a degree of political influence. The result of this involvement is a series of unsubstantiated claims and slandering publications, accusing her of having an affair, having sex with a lesbian, and indulging in incest with her son. Her image in the public eye continues to suffer. Despite their loss, Marie and her husband are allowed to return to Paris the following year to participate in a ceremony, the Fête de la Fédération. Both the king and queen receive vocal praise, with the people chanting, "Long live the king!" Here, the king vows to uphold the laws put in practice by the assembly. Things seem hopeful, with the king gaining leverage in the new government. However, their freedom is certainly restrained, prompting Marie to plan fleeing from captivity with her family. After many delays, their escape plan, the flight to Varennes, fails. The royal family is arrested, losing most of its already struggling power. From then on, Marie and the king are guarded constantly. Through this, Marie continues to communicate with allies in Austria, clinging to hope that the revolution will meet its end. Soon, France declares war on Austria, and Marie is viewed as a traitor once more. The conflict leads directly into the abolishing of the monarchy. Rather than clinging to what little power they have, the royal family is reduced to non-royal capet, and are put on trial for high treason by the ascending First French Republic. In 1793, King Louis XVI is sentenced to execution by guillotine. With this loss, Marie becomes known as the Widow Capet. Grasping for sympathy, Marie's attempts to return to power fail miserably as she and her children are degraded and insulted by the guards. The National Convention struggles to decide her fate. They separate her from her son Louis XVII and indoctrinate him to their political ideals, turning her own son against her. Come August 1st, Marie is transferred to an isolated prison cell where she accidentally hits her head on the doorway. When asked if she is hurt, she replies sternly, "No, nothing now can hurt me." Unable to escape, she remains in captivity until October 14th, when she is tried by the Revolutionary Tribunal. In the hearing, all of her past exploits, both true and false, gather to condemn her. Ultimately, she is found guilty on 3 accounts: depleting the treasury, conspiring against the state, and high treason for having interests in Austria, the last of which alone warrants penalty of death. With few hours remaining, Marie writes to her sister-in-law, declaring her faith and clearing her conscience. In preparation, Marie is forced to change into a white dress in front of the guards. She is bound and leashed, transported on cart for a full hour to reach the Place de la Révolution, where her guillotine awaits. A priest stands by to hear her confession. She ignores him and instead accidentally steps upon her executioner's shoe. Her final words are, "Pardon me, sir, I did not do it on purpose." This man, Charles-Henri Sanson, by hoisting the guillotine, brings an end to her life. Her legacy is considered a stain on France's history, a shining example of its flawed past. Marie Antoinette's death is considered an important step toward the future, though in modern times, her reputation is restored as people recognize how she loved her country. Truly, even in death, Marie Antoinette does not wish to erase her demise. Rather than feel resentment, she wholeheartedly accepts her fate. This sincerity and nobility allow her to be recorded into the throne of heroes. In the modern era, the Chaldea Security Organization strives to restore the human order by resolving various singularities. One such singularity is based on an alternate version of Orleans, France, in which Jeanne d'Arc returns after being burned at the stake to seek revenge upon her murderers. Chaldea sends its only master, Ritsuka Fujimaru, and their servant Mashu Kyrielite to the singularity. Marie Antoinette also finds herself summoned to this era, and quickly finds camaraderie with a familiar face, Mozart. The 2 stray servants decide that their purpose for being summoned is to fight against Jean Alter and restore France to its proper history. In this endeavor, they locate Ritsuka and save them from Jean Alter's servants. Excitingly, they join forces with the Chaldean master. Marie, in particular, is delighted to have the chance to meet new people and experience her country in a new light. As a servant, Marie is summoned in her youth, having just married into French royalty. Thus, while her body and mind are young, she retains memories of the later years of her life. She best fits the rider class, mounting the white horse, symbolizing the royal family. While not a violent person, Marie fights with her voice, a skill called the alluring nightingale, which charms those of the opposite sex. Her noble phantasm is a manifestation of the French monarchy. It is Guillotine Breaker, glory to the crown of lilies. Through it, she can call upon a beautiful glass horse and charge through the battlefield upon it, scattering a dangerous light that harms enemies and heals allies. In a similar vein, she has another noble phantasm called the Crystal Palace, the lovable brilliance for eternity. She conjures a bounded field that bolsters her allies' strength. Under the condition that she dons her lovely swimsuit, Marie can invoke the crystal dress to similar effect. Marie Antoinette continues to assist Ritsuka in fighting Jean Alter's berserk servants, and after fleeing from the monstrous Fafnir, she comes across her former executioner, Charles-Henri Sanson. Just as in life, Sansun has come to execute her once more. Thus, to buy Ritsuka's party more time, Marie stays behind and faces off against him. This time, she emerges victorious. In the face of death, Sansun describes how he strove to improve as a killer, for her sake, in pursuit of her forgiveness. Marie assures that she never once resented him, allowing him to disappear in peace. Despite her victory, the battle takes a toll on her. In a weakened state, she is left vulnerable as Jean Alter arrives in the town. Alone, Marie stands up against Jean, deploying her crystal palace in a fight to the death. Marie is ill-equipped for the fight and promptly loses. It is a valiant sacrifice, however, allowing Ritsuka the time to form a countermeasure against Fafnir. This, in turn, helps resolve the singularity. Following Orleans, Marie Antoinette finds herself summoned by Ritsuka for future singularities, where she partners up with Sansun and her former knight, Chevalier Deon. As a servant of Chaldea, she is able to continue her service as queen, this time striving for the happiness of all mankind. Despite this, Marie finds herself troubled by her past. Ritsuka experiences one of Marie's dreams, in which she laments the tragedy of her death. In the dream, Marie encounters a version of herself that admits a yearning to curse France for her death. Marie's ever-smiling face turns melancholic in the face of her doubts and confronts her own shadow servant. With Ritsuka's help, Marie is able to accept her doubts and persevere, allowing her to maintain a positive outlook. Thus, despite her bitter demise, Marie is able to remain an inspiring idol in the effort to save humanity. Thanks for watching. If you enjoy this channel, help me beat the algorithm by liking, commenting, and sharing the video, subscribing to OtakuDaiKun, and most of all, smashing that notification bell as if it were your waifu. That way you'll never miss out on all of my anime content, lore videos, live streams, and Holy Waifu Wars polls. My vids are struggling to get featured, so that bell is absolutely critical. If you want to support me directly, check out my Patreon, or consider donating via Super Chat. And as always, celebrate your fandom.